You grow up doing things that is expected of you. You study well, you complete your assignments, and obviously will get good degrees. But the things that once made you happy, like the free time or just sitting and talking with the friends, it all starts to fade away. You become more serious, directed, and focused. You have to choose a stream: science, arts, or commerce. And slowly, life starts shaping you into what society calls a responsible adult. My path led me to engineering. I studied hard, went through the long lab hours, and finally landed a job at Mercedes-Benz Research and Development. I was just 22 and I was working in the autonomous driving assistance system, which is like the future tech. I felt like I had made it. I had meals served 3 times a day, that too buffet style, coffee whenever I wanted, and a good salary was hitting my bank account every single month. On paper, everything looked perfect. But the days began to blur together. Wake up, work, test, deliver, and repeat. The conversations became shorter. The laughter became rare. And suddenly, everything felt so serious. Even though everything seemed perfect, it felt strangely mechanical. I still remember one day in the cafeteria was completely filled, yet so silent. The only sound I could hear were the sounds of the keyboards clicking and the phones buzzing. Everyone, including me, was just scrolling while having the food, scrolling again, completely lost in the screen. I just caught myself staring at the food, realizing that I hadn't had a real conversation with anybody that day. It hit me hard then that even though there are a lot of people around me, I am completely disconnected. I realized that I had stopped living. Then I stopped calling my friends. The talk with the parents, it just turned out into a polite check-ins, and it just became, I'm fine, just busy. The happiness, it felt like something from another life. All the connections started to fade away, and I was no longer the happy, jolly person I once was. Then life intervened. During the month of my birthday, I fell seriously sick. What started as an exhaustion turned out into a major health crisis, and I had to undergo a surgery. So I was just stuck in the hospital for months, just staring at the white walls, unable to work, unable to plan, and unable to even celebrate my own birthday. And during that long, quiet recovery phase, I began to question everything. I still remember lying down, watching the ceiling fan spin, wondering, is this what I have been racing towards? My life was full of activities, yet so incomplete of the meaning of life. I kept thinking about the friends I hadn't called for months, the passions I liked that I pushed it aside, and the simple joys that I no longer noticed. For the first time in many years, I was forced to sit still. And in the stillness, I just realized how much of my life I had been actually living on the autopilot, and that I wasn't choosing the days. Instead, they were just happening to me. So, I asked myself, what is it I am chasing? Am I alive, or am just existing inside the perfectly organized bubble? At first, obviously I tried to justify everything. I told myself I am doing what everyone else did, being responsible, building a career, and focusing on the jobs. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how hollow that sounded. Somewhere along the line, I had stopped asking why. Why was I pushing myself so hard for the things that didn't make me even feel alive? Why Success felt only real when it fell into the society's expectation. I had spent so much time trying to design the perfect life, I forgot actually to live in it. So I kept thinking about the times I was truly happy. It was definitely not the day when I got my job offer or the days when I used to receive my paychecks, but it was all the small moments like going on with friends after the exams, watching the sunsets from the hostel terrace, or going on long rides for no reason but just to grab a cup of tea, and sitting and talking with friends with about random things, not even checking the time. Then it hit me hard. Somewhere between the deadlines and the deliverables, I stopped living and I just functioned. Once I saw that I couldn't unsee it. So I made a decision and I quit my job. I had no grand plan, no backup, and obviously everyone called me crazy for leaving the dream job, but I did it anyways. So I started traveling. I began riding through the Run of Kutch, the vast salt desert at the edge of India, where the horizon was endless and the sunset felt like they stretched on forever. I began wandering without any roadmap. I had always loved photography because it taught me how to live in the moment, to care for the small things around us, and to be grateful for the world we actually live in. So I invested in a camera and I took it with me everywhere I went. One of the most unforgettable journeys was when I was actually riding through my bike through a remote village called Dixit of Leh. The roads were very narrow. It was wide enough for even just a single vehicle to pass by. The air was thin and the cold bit into my skin. There, I met a Buddhist monk sitting quietly at the monastery. The monastery was little more than the prayer flags and the stone walls. It was hours away from the neighboring villages over the gravel strewn roads with not much electricity and shops nearby. The wind cut like knives and the mountains rose jagged with silence all around. And I could hear nothing but just the distant call of the yaks echoing through the entire valley. I just asked him, "How did you find peace in such a place like this?" He said, "When you let the world go, it teaches who you really are." And for hours, we talked not about the job, not about the money, but about the life and the people around us. I told him about my routine back home, how I woke up, went to work, come back exhausted, having a sense of emptiness inside me, despite having everything I supposed to want. I told him that I stopped feeling connected to life itself. He just looked at me quietly and asked, "When was the last time you felt truly alive?" So I thought about it. I thought long and hard about it, but I couldn't recall a single instance where I was happy. That one single instance changed everything in me. My travels changed everything in my life. It made me see life at different perspectives. It made me meet new people and form meaningful connections. And through them, I started seeing life again. I saw light, colors, and emotions in a way I hadn't seen before. I was alive again. I still remember one day I was standing in front of the humongous ocean with having camera in my hand. And I was just watching the sunset paint the whole horizon with impossible shades of violet and orange. I could feel my chest tighten, not from the cold, but from the stillness I hadn't known for years. I was seeing again. I was living again. For the first time in many years, I was not actually chasing the life and I was not stuck in it. I was actually alive. So, if there is one thing I learned about life, it is this. Life doesn't always follow a blueprint. Not all detours are distractions. Sometimes they are directions. So, the people you meet by chance, the unplanned moments, and the decisions we actually take out of instinct, they make us closer to who we truly are. Thank you.